Welcome to Nourish MD, Doctor-Dietitian Dialogues, where doctors and dietitians empower you about your health and discuss and provide a better path to health and wellness. Proudly presented by Concierge Medical Practice, Private Physicians Medical Associates, PPMA, with your host, registered dietitian and nutritionist, Meg Tancredi.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Nourish MD Podcast, the podcast where we learn, grow, and nourish together. I am your host and registered dietitian, Meg Tancredi, and today I'm very excited to have on our podcast Dr. Christian Barney. He is a chiropractor. I'm going to get into a specific soon, but our topic is fantastic. We've had a couple of conversations before, and I think this conversation applies to pretty much everyone who is able to listen to this podcast. So anyone in adulthood who just wants to listen about the good stuff we have to say about health. So let me just pop on and talk about your background. So Dr. Barney is a chiropractor with at least 40 years in clinical practice. He is the founder and clinic director of Performance Health and Wellness. It's a multidisciplinary clinic where they focus on restoring function, improving mobility, and preventing long-term decline. That is key for what we are talking about today. And he is the lead instructor for active release techniques. So maybe today you can go over what that means. He also holds 2 postdoctoral certificates, one in advanced diagnosis and one in rehab. And he has a very special interest in healthy aging, balance and fall prevention, and building strength and independence.
Yes.
Welcome, Dr. Barney. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, hello. Thank you. I'm excited. We've had some great conversations, so I'm going to see how this thing unfolds.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. So we've talked about, how we all age, about how we live, how we function. And a lot of times I will hear, and we talked about this before, I will hear from some older patients that, well, I am this age, and I guess it's just kind of downhill from here, right?
Yes.
That means that my body should just start to break down. I should be sedentary more often. I should be in pain more often. All these things going on, right? Is that something that you hear also?
It is terribly unfortunate, but this is what the average person actually believes. It's to a certain degree, it's almost a victim's attitude of, I'm now this old, I now shouldn't be doing this or can't be doing this. But the reality of it is that's just simply not true. We are capable of much, much, much more, and we can change it at any age. If you're 85 years old and you want to be healthier, you can change it, So I see and hear it all the time when I fight with the patients to try to get them to shift. This is really a mindset of this is what you can do, not what you can't do.
But let's get into that. So about the mindset. So if you're having a conversation with somebody and they're new and they come in and they're like, well, here I am, here's kind of what I've done, that sort of thing. How do you approach that? Like, how do you determine, okay, they are ready for change, or how do you slowly convince them, if you will? But how do you go about approaching that, in your clinic?
It is interesting. I would say that the vast majority of my patients have already accepted that decline and dysfunction is a part of the aging process. So the initial part is actually to tell them that aging is normal, but that loss of capacity is not. Our body is capable of so much more. I actually like to start with a story. I had been in practice maybe 3 or 4 years. I had an older gentleman come to me for back pain. I'm a chiropractor, so I get people with back pain coming to my office. And I go, is there anything else you want to talk about? Well, I got right knee problems, but I went to my doctor and he said that it's just old age. I go, oh, really? I go, do you have any pain in the left knee? He said, well, no. And I go, do you know you're a medical miracle? He looks at me and he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, how old is the left knee?
Yeah, that's great.
And it's a prime example because many of my patients have experienced that. They have a problem. Oh yeah, it's just old age. Don't worry about it. But yet other body parts are fine. The knee is bad because of old age, but the ankles are good. The shoulders are good. The neck is good. So you just have to get people to begin to understand that what they're feeling is probably not age related. It is dysfunction over time related. And this is a possibility of what you can achieve. So that's, I mean, the funny story, it's kind of eye-opening, and people go, oh, so that's the way I start the conversation. I've told that story thousands of times.
Pretty good.
And I always get a nice laugh. I always get a queried, and then they smile like, oh, okay, I get that.
Oh, yeah, okay. And like that shifts their perspective. They're like, oh, actually, I didn't think about it that way. And that's kind of it's nice to introduce a little humor into working with people. It doesn't have to be so serious. So I think that's great. I know one thing we've talked about is balance. Like the balance in your work. So you must see a lot of balance related issues, maybe?
Well, it's terribly unfortunate. Balance is one of the easiest things to check. We can go over that if you'd like to. Yeah. And it is probably the most underrated physical examination findings to look for dysfunction. When you're dealing with balance, we use our ears, our eyes, and what we call proprioception, our joint health. If any one of those three systems is beginning to decline or has dysfunction, you can begin to see it in a just very simple testing. You have somebody stand on one leg. And the commonality as you get to be older, they're expecting people that are 60 and 70 to be able to stand on their leg for 10 seconds. Everybody should be able to stand on their leg with their eyes open for about a minute and with their eyes closed at least 10 seconds. And we can very quickly see, is this person declining just merely through their balance? And here's the other advantage, is that changing balance is really easy. The vast majority of our patients will change balance significantly within about 4 to 6 weeks. A very simple training that we teach them the foundations. And if they're willing to do the work at home, they'll see their balance will recover remarkably fast. That means that their gait will speed up, that their posture will improve. Typically, their pain will drop, and they'll walk with way more confidence. And that's as we age, moving quickly with some empowerment as we walk and move, it really changes our entire physical being. So balance is a big deal. We do it. We check it on virtually every one of our patients. We actually had a patient, she had 2 brain surgeries. We have an AI movement analysis system called Kinetisense in our office where we put our patients on it. And one of them we check for is balance. They've got an activities of daily living kind of balance program. And her balance, and we get scores, her balance went from a 30 to a 75 in like 6 weeks. And it was, it was remarkable on how fast. And she's somebody who's actually got significant issues, aren't age related. They're actually as a result of brain surgery. So anybody can improve their balance. And when I say anybody, the vast majority of people can improve their balance quick and easily. So,
gosh, I love that. So you're saying, like, for everyone who's listening, and myself included, when we're done listening to this podcast, we should close our eyes, balance on one foot. Of course, everyone be safe. I have to just
I know. Yeah.
Don't be near any sharp objects or corners. But close your eyes, stand on one leg, and see how long you can do it for.
Well, actually, I would recommend that they do it with their eyes open at first.
Oh, yes, I do.
So, did you want me to demonstrate? Did you want me to demonstrate or no?
Sure.
It's simple. It's really simple. Yeah. Actually, I don't know my camera.
Yeah.
I'm not so good at this whole podcasting. I know you can only see my chest. Let me move the chair. I'll see if I can step back. So you stand like this and you literally just raise your leg up here. You should be able to stand like this for a minute and then close your eyes for 10 seconds.
Oh, close your eyes for 10 seconds. Okay.
Yes. So, and it should be relatively what we call quiet. You should be able to stand there for a full minute. It'd be fun if you get the participants to do it and text us and say, were you able to do it?
Yeah, actually, that would be really cool. And if they can't, we're just going to say, hey, we know someone who can help you with that.
Yes. And balance is very, very, very easy to train.
What would be an example of an exercise maybe that someone could do at home that could improve their balance?
Doing the test, standing on one leg.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the quickest ways of doing it. And again, balance requires joint information to the brain, semicircular canals in the ear, as well as eyes. That's why you close your eyes, because you want to see how much you're using your vision for to maintain balance. But basically, just standing on one leg is really good. Walking barefoot on a natural surface also helps improve balance. That's really helps. Walking heel toe, where the drunk walk, being able to do that.
I don't know
that helps. So there's multiple different exercises. The key, what we do is we help delineate, are you what we call a joint or proprioceptive dysfunction, ear dysfunction, or eye dysfunction? And depending on those dysfunctions, we then can develop a program depending on their condition, or make a recommendation to a neurologist because they may need some other help, right? I mean, it's
something else is going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to me about what you just previously mentioned about the AI.
So, it is a device. I have a movement clinic. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, but we're really a movement. We want my goal is I want all of the grandparents to be able to play with their grandchildren on the floor, to be able to get up in 3 moves or less. If you've ever seen an older person, I've talked to a lot of my patients who are like over the age of 55, they haven't been on the floor for 10 years,
right?
Which is another mistake. And again, it relates to balance, and then it also relates to stability and mobility. But so I have a movement clinic, and we do movement physical examinations to discern what conditions need to be worked. Okay. Well, what I was looking for, every other medical profession has got blood work or MRIs or x-rays, but as a movement person, it is very difficult for us to get some objective findings. Well, movement analysis from a technological standpoint has been developed over the last 20 to 30 years, but most of them are like $250,000 done in research facilities. Are expensive.
Yeah.
Well, one of the groups, I work for Active Release Technique, and they introduced me to a gentleman who developed a system that's very sophisticated, but we can do in our office, called Kinetisense. And what we can do is put people through different types of movements. And we typically do the average person is 6 movements. We've got our athletes, it's about 10 movements. And then we've got golfers that are about 15 or 20 movements, all depending. And you'll check all the major joints in the body, not the hands, wrists, or feet. It does check the ankles. And it will tell us whether or not the joint is immobile, it can't move, or it's unstable. And it helps us direct the treatment. And what's amazing is we get pictures and people can actually see, this is why there's left shoulders connected to the right hip, and this is why what's going on. It's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
Right. And then the other thing is that patients, I'm sure you can relate to this, don't always give you all the information. Do you have any other problems? They say no. And then we put them on the Kinetisense, and we say, oh, it says here your right knee is unstable. Oh yeah, I injured my right knee and it hurts. Well, why didn't you tell me that before? But so lots of times it picks up issues and problems that patients don't tell us about. Right. So, and then we combine that with our physical examination, and then we help develop an individualized program for somebody to get them better. And that's what we're known for, is getting people better fast, quickly, getting them out of pain quickly, and then moving, as we talked about, creating some longevity and some appropriate movement to their life. So
this sounds fantastic. I want to come in for this evaluation.
Anytime, Meg, we'd love to have you.
So awesome. I'm very let's find the weak points. Let's fix them. Let's work on them and move forward and live optimally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this is really great. And then you mentioned, active release techniques. So tell me a little bit about that. What is that?
So active release technique is a soft tissue technique that's extremely unique and powerful. We have probably 35,000 practitioners in North America and Europe. I've been teaching for more than 30 years. It was developed by a gentleman who's in Colorado Springs, Michael Leahy. I actually went to school with him. He graduated slightly ahead of me. I did my undergraduate work as an athletic trainer, and I understood that muscles move bones, soft tissue, stabilized joints. And as a chiropractor, manipulation is very powerful, but I wanted to get people better faster, and I wanted their adjustments to hold. So I was looking for a technique that would look at the soft tissue. So it's extremely powerful. I did a lot of my work with a lot of professional athletes, a lot of collegiate and Olympic athletes, as well as older people that were kind of a last resort, where people have been to either a very strict physical therapist or very strict chiropractor, but you need somebody that has all of it in one. We have manual therapy, we have manipulation, and we have rehabilitation, and we also have functional medicine. So we're dealing with some biochemical stuff. So it's kind of all under one roof, trying to figure out where the greatest area of dysfunction is. And if we fix this, what do the other areas work on?
Okay.
So yes, and I've been teaching for about 30 years. I'm what they call lead instructor. So I run the seminar. So
you know a few things.
Some people tell me yeah. I think I forgot more than I've ever learned.
Well, there's like so much to know, but it sounds like with your experience and how you like approach health and medicine and wellness and all of that. It sounds like it's very thorough, and you aim for efficiency. So it's not like, hey, I want you to keep coming back to me. It's like, hey,
no,
let's figure out what's going on here. Let's get that figured out together. And you're going to feel like $1 million, in X amount of time.
Yes.
Not just, okay, well, here's the Band-Aid and good luck, or here's the.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly true. And it's great you use the word efficiency, because when we're evaluating the body, you deal mostly from a biochemical standpoint. We want to create efficiency in movement the same way you want to create efficiency with macronutrients or micronutrients or chemistry. How do you get the body to move efficiently? Because the more efficient is, the less dysfunction there is and the less degeneration there is.
Yeah.
Dysfunction, and particularly degeneration, what people think are aging. It's not aging. It's the vast majority of the time, it's degeneration, because the person had dysfunction for a long period of time and didn't deal with it. Because the body it'll do anything to get out of pain. So number one, it'll find a position or movement to get you out of pain while keeping your eyes straight. And so if all of a sudden you hurt your neck and then 4 days later, oh, my neck pain went away, but your neck, you hold like this. And then what your head does is this. So you're walking like this. Oh yeah, I got no pain. I took a couple aspirin, I'm fine. Right. And we're like, no. Now you're creating dysfunction, which creates wear, which then creates shifts and changes in our biomechanics. And then we have a problem.
Exactly.
And 5 years later, we have a problem. Or 10 years later, we have a problem.
Yeah. And I've seen people where they shift their posture or the way that they walk to compensate for that pain.
Yes.
And over time, I have a couple people that come to mind, and they, they're either leaning one way or their walk is a little off, and definitely balance is off for sure. And that, that's definitely like hindering them from doing the things that they want to do. I think about, like when you said people even just getting down on the ground and then getting back up. I had someone tell me the other day, I can't get up without a chair.
Yes.
Like even just the basic stuff, not even like the fun hobby where you're playing with the grandkids or like whatever, but like even just the basic, like for whatever reason why we have to get on the floor, or, heaven forbid, right, that you've fallen in, have to get up and no one's around to help you. It's what do you do in that situation? That's
right.
That really everyone needs to be thinking about, not just if you're 85 or whatever age, we all fall over at some point or have to be on the ground. How are you going to get up? You have to be independent, whether you live with someone or not.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And there's some certain foundational things, being able to stand on one leg and have balance, Be able to get from the ground standing is foundation. We're going to talk about breathing a little bit, being able to breathe normally. It's really sad when people can't get up off the ground. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, lay down on the ground. It should take you 3 moves or less to go from a sitting position to a standing position. And we will train people how to do it. And it's typically a mobility issue, meaning their areas are tight, as well as a stability issue.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting because it relates to efficiency. It's rarely a strength issue. It's typically a stability issue, which is different than strength.
Yes.
So if you just do strength exercises, it may not help you stand up. You need to learn the strategies to get those areas to work efficiently so you can get up, which is essential for health.
Yeah, exactly. And then you mentioned breathing.
Yes.
My notes. But you mentioned breathing, and we've talked a little bit about that. What is your take? I mean, we all breathe. We all know it's just an automatic response of the nervous system. Yeah. We breathe in, we breathe out. But why is breathing or breath work something we should pay attention to for health?
When we talk about foundation, everybody's willing to go out and buy organic, spinach, and they want to go run the marathon and whatever. But we can only live about 5 minutes without oxygen, right? I mean, out of everything, breathing is the most important. You mentioned that breathing is automatic. It's a part of the autonomic nervous system. We don't think about our eyes dilating, our heart beating, or our breathing rate. Having said that, we can actually control our breathing rate, right? We can't really control. I can't make my eye dilate. I can't really make my heart beat faster unless I think of something that'll do that, right? But we can actually change the way we breathe. Because of predominantly our two things, it's our postural constraints because we're sitting so much. So our accessory breathing muscles, these muscles in our chest and in our neck, which then cause our head to go forward, they begin to take over. And then we breathe like this. And this is what happens. The second component of breathing relates to our level of anxiety and or a level of stress, right? I'm going to oversimplify. We have basically hormonal stress response, and we have an autonomic nervous stress response. And we have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is predominantly digestion. How do you feel after Thanksgiving? Blah, right? Tired. Your body's digesting. As well as, when you're driving your car and someone cuts you off, you're like, slamming on the brakes. And your eyes dilate and your heart, that's sympathetic. We spend way too much time in a sympathetic state. And we've dropped people's blood pressure by 20 points just by teaching them how to breathe.
Yes, I love that.
And it's for them, it's magical. It also calms them down, with anxiety or stress. I don't like standing in lines. So I do breathing. We call it diaphragmatic breathing, and there's certain strategies. There's lots of breath work you can do. Yoga's got breath work. Almost all the healing arts have got breath work. Yeah. We have to teach at least 70% of our patients how to breathe efficiently. Most of us breathe with our chest, which means we're only using like the upper third of our lungs. We're not even getting the full capacity. If we use our diaphragm, it pulls down and we can completely fill up our lungs. We get more oxygen. So it decreases our breathing, it decreases our heart rate, and we get more oxygenation to our tissues, which therefore means we get more circulation, we get more nutrients, it feeds all of this, it slows down the degenerative process, and then it also allows our body to take away the toxins and the metabolites that our bodies are using. So teaching somebody how to breathe, I get lots of my patients with back pain, teaching someone how to breathe and use their diaphragm is extraordinarily important for core connection. Okay, people talk about sit-ups and planks, which is great, but if you don't breathe well and your diaphragm's not working, your core's not connected, it's not working right immediately. So just breathing will help with regard to that. So breathing is essential. Watch babies breathe. They're nice and relaxed most of the time, and they're not crying, and they're breathing with their belly. And then when they're crying, they're sympathetic, right? So yeah.
It's so true. There's a few patients that I've worked with, and they have very like high stress positions.
Yes.
right? Whatever their career is, or even moms, right? Whether they've got one little muffin or three at home, and it's a lot, right? So whatever
Yes.
that stress load looks like, it's there, and it definitely impacts them, right? And so they are just all day long. And oftentimes I know when people are maybe expecting something that they don't want to hear or whatever, they'll hold their breath.
Yes.
Is also detrimental, and you can notice that like with your belly, right? You just kind of like tense up. You're like, are you breathing? Like, are you breathing over there? And sometimes it's funny, but also for reals, you need to pay attention to
Yes.
holding your breath. And then I like to tell people like, can you close your office door? Can you take literally 1 minute to just sit down and breathe in through your nose, exhale through your mouth? I mean, there's all the different like box breathings and second, and all that.
Yep.
It's like, let's just start with just the breathing part and having no other distractions and just give yourself like that moment, right? That moment to just bring everything back down. And it's almost like a little reset.
It really is.
Yeah. And then when people do that, it's like, like all the stuff is just relaxed and your body feels better, right? So
and it only takes 3 to 5 breaths if you know how to breathe and making sure that you're doing it and here, not that you're a breathing expert by any stretch, but within 2 or 3 sessions, the vast majority of people have a concept where they can literally take 3 to 5 breaths, calm their nervous system, put themselves in a more parasympathetic state, improve digestion, and lower their blood pressure, relax themselves. It's really quick, just with a couple of quick strategies. So yes, and breathing is essential. So
yeah, word on the street. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, word on the street is it's essential.
and just something that you just said about getting their nervous system to relax, and then how it also impacts digestion, because I hear that often.
Yes.
And when people like on the food part, people, most people are in a hurry for some reason, a meeting or a point, whatever. They're in a hurry. And so I have 5 minutes to eat my food, right? Oh, indigestion happens. Why is it? Like your body doesn't know your body doesn't know you're running late. It just knows it's stressed.
Right.
And you're not breathing. You're not giving yourself the time to just and enjoy your food, even if it is for 5 minutes. Slow down.
Right? Yes.
And a lot of times people will notice that indigestion alleviates because they're calm, they're breathing, the mindful eating stuff like comes.
Yes. Right? That really works. Yeah.
Okay. And your body is relaxed, and then it can do what it's programmed to do.
Yes. It is interesting if you understand the nervous system. It's better for somebody not to eat in a sympathetic state because their whole digestive tract gets messed up. It's better just to, just maybe a bite or two, just to and kind of go on their way, because it's kind of an on and off switch. If it's either sympathetic or parasympathetic, and when you digest, it's best if it's parasympathetic. So if you're sitting and you've got gut issues and you're inflamed, everything you eat seems to be disagreeable, and you're eating lunch at your desk, you're drinking coffee and eating as you drive, which it makes no sense to me. Then really rethink the priorities, and getting appropriate nutrients is, as very important.
Yeah.
Right behind breathing.
Exactly.
We can live without food for a couple of days.
but not oxygen.
Yeah.
Health challenges can feel overwhelming, but expert home care can bring peace of mind. With PPMA at Home, you get access to trusted professional caregivers who provide skilled nursing, therapy, wound care, and more, all in the comfort of your own home. Recover faster, feel supported, and stay connected to your physician and care team with 24/7 communication. PPMA at Home, because healing happens best when you're where you belong. Call today to learn more.
So I know we wanted to talk a little bit about peptides, because that is the hot topic lately. I feel like there's a lot of conversation around peptides. I think it's important to kind of clarify what are peptides? Why would we care about learning about them? What potentially, can they do for the body?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear you might have that answer.
There is definitely a lot of interest in peptide therapy. We use them in our clinic. From a general perspective, I say that they're kind of supplements on steroids. Now, the vast majority of peptides, a peptide just basically means a short chain amino acids. Amino acids are proteins. You attach them together. The vast majority of these peptides were actually made in our bodies. PBC157 is a very popular peptide. We actually make it in our gut. It's a part of our chemistry already. And so what they do for the most part, and again, I'm being general because they do a lot of different things, but mostly what they do is they bind to receptors and they initiate pathways. Where supplements, and I'm not necessarily talking about herbs, but mostly micronutrients and minerals, though they act as enzymes, coenzymes. So you have to get a pathway started, and then you get your nutrients there, and they keep the chemical pathway to keep going to get the results that we're looking for. And what peptides do is they get these pathways started. And because our chemistries are distorted, when we get if we need certain areas to be stimulated, we can do that with peptides.
Okay.
There are a couple issues with peptides. I think the one of the big things is people that sell them sometimes grossly oversell what they do. It will initiate a process, it'll initiate a pathway, but you need to use them as a tool.
Yeah.
They're not gonna, if you tear a muscle and you shoot a peptide, the peptide will promote the healing process, but you still got to do what it takes to heal. You still got to, get the muscle to relax. You still have to support the muscle and or the tendon. So if you use them as a tool, they work fantastic. And there's some growing literature, mostly animal studies, that are showing great promise with the peptides. So we're finding that a lot of our patients that combine peptides with our therapy will actually get better faster. And, since the peptides are typically cheaper than we are, then it's actually, they save money. So
that's great.
But again, that's a part of who we are. We're trying to give people tools. How do you get better faster?
Exactly. But I like that you're emphasizing it's a tool. It's not a replacement for like the basics, which is nutrition and getting the sleep and getting the sunlight and moving your body. Like those you have to have in place. And then peptides as well as different supplements, right? Like the minerals, micronutrients, like those can help things move along, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
The wheel turning. But they all work together. So it's not just if I take this peptide, my life will be better and I will live forever. It's how is it going to play a role in healing? What are the other things that we can be doing to progress healing and support it and go from there. So it's like part of like a protocol, would you say?
Right. Yeah. And a lot of the peptides that we use, what they say stack, we'll take 2 or 3 peptides that are basically doing the same type of thing, but stimulating different pathways. So again, it's there to promote that healing process that we're trying to reinforce what the body's already doing.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think that's so great. So
it really is. Yeah.
Like when someone comes to see you for like their initial session, how, like, do you spend like an hour with them or what would that look like?
Yeah. The typical first visit is an hour. So we do a posture analysis. We take pictures of posture because we want to improve the patient's posture. We do a body fat testing. We're looking for basically how much muscle mass they have. And most importantly, we're looking for visceral fat.
Yeah.
And visceral fat is the fat that's actually around the organs that is metabolized and stored under a different system. It's not the vanity fat, the subcutaneous fat, but it promotes inflammation. So it's a very simple inflammatory type of marker that we can see, because someone with a high visceral fat will take longer to get better. Then we do a consultation. We do an evaluation. A partial or evaluation is global. Again, posture is if you have an ankle problem, a back problem, a shoulder problem, we still want to see where their posture is.
Okay,
and we want to see how the whole body's moving. And then we do a regional orthopedic neurological evaluation to kind of discern what is the pain generating tissue, and then moving, why is this pain generating tissue hurting, causing problems?
Yeah.
So, and most of our patients will come in, how'd you hurt your back? I don't know. And we have to figure out why they're getting pain in the back. And lots of times the problem is not in the back. It's a problem with the hips, or it's a problem with the core. It's a problem, it could be a problem with their ankles. It could be a problem with their big toe. I mean, it's actually kind of unique. So we find the pain generating tissue and why that's breaking down and put it together. We'll do the kinetisense, the AI movement analysis, and then we also will develop a rehab program. And the rehab program we call it movement therapy. It's based on the nervous system. It's not based on the biomechanical system.
Okay.
So we're working for efficiency. How do we get the muscles to fire in the appropriate order? Because that's really important. Once you've got that, then you can build strength and power on that. But if you go straight to strength and power, you will certainly feel better, but you necessarily won't slow down the degenerative process, and you certainly haven't fixed the problem. So again, we start with the nervous system and movement efficiency. And then we apply active release. We do active release on 100% of our patients, which is the soft tissue work. And because active release is so powerful, we manipulate probably 80%, 85% of our patients. So not all of our patients get adjusted. So we have patients that have been to other chiropractors. They've got manipulated. They haven't gotten better. So, but they can still come to us and we can still do it. And manipulation may or may not be a part of their resolution of their problem.
Okay.
And the first visit is about an hour, probably an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. That sounds very thorough.
Yes, it's pretty fun.
So great.
It's pretty fun. Yeah.
And
we
again,
like it.
I keep hearing that word like efficient. And I'm pointing it out because it's so important, because oftentimes it just feels like you're this hamster in the wheel and you just keep going back and you're like, I don't think anything's changing. And like, what are we doing here? And time is so precious to feel like everyone I talk to, it's like time is going by so fast, or, hey, I only have this much time left on earth, or we don't know when our time is going to be. It's like, let's just figure this out and get to the best health that we can be in and get off the floor, easily and balance and just feel really good.
Yep.
So what would you say, like to anyone who's listening, maybe that they might have that, that thought in their head that, well, it's fine. I am just aging, and this might be like too much for me. Somebody who's on the fence, right? They're not quite at that state of change of like, I'm really open-minded, I'm going to go do it, but just,
it is difficult to motivate somebody because they really have to believe that they can make a change. And when I get people that are doubting and I'm having a conversation with them, and most people are coming in pain. If you've had pain, I'm not talking about a trauma, like you got involved in a car accident or, you fell. I'm talking about, just the normal quote unquote aches and pains, which are not normal. They're typical, but not normal.
Yeah.
I asked them, if you continue to degenerate at the pace you've degenerated over the last 5 years or 10 years, and you live the same lifestyle and you keep doing what you're doing, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah. Yep.
Let's have a conversation, because 10 years ago, you were able to run. 10 years ago, you were able to do a squat. 10 years ago, if you were 5 pounds overweight, you manipulated your diet a little bit, you can get back into shape. Yeah. Now you can't touch your toes. Now you can't sit more than 20 minutes without having back pain. Now you can walk, but you really don't feel comfortable running. Now let's use the same process. And we both know we're in the field. When you begin to degenerate young, as you get older, your degeneration actually speeds up. So if something happened over 10 years, it's going to happen over 2 or 3. But let's extrapolate out in 10 years from now. If you degenerate at the same rate, where are you going to be in 10 years? And then where's your priorities?
Right.
If your priority is, something else, then, and not your health and not your movement, then I'm here to help you reach your health goals. And if your health goal is to degenerate at that slow pace, then I'll support you. You know, I'll get you out of pain and then you can go on your way, which I want you to know a lot of people, because they've bought into the fact that they're getting older and that's normal. So sorry, the lights went off. I got to move. There we go.
Energy efficient.
Smart. Energy efficient. Yes. That's the hard part of my job. When I see somebody that isn't living their best life, they're on the verge of making change. And then for some reason, they're not willing. They feel overwhelmed. Yeah. And I think what happens is that people take on too much. They need to understand that the vast majority of these changes just need to be incremental. Yeah. There are studies of putting people over the age of 70 on a weightlifting program twice a week for 6 months and seeing all of these health indices improve: memory, balance, strength, twice a week for an hour, and they're 70 and 80 years old and they're making these huge changes. Yeah. If we just teach you how to breathe, we just get you to balance, just get you to walk. I mean, just do very basic things. When you're doing nutrition work, you know, getting people to maybe eliminate 1 or 2 things and add 1 or 2 things, it's over a period of time makes a huge shift and change.
Right.
And if people are willing to take that first step and just initiate the first step, then they can build on it, and then they can make the change. Yeah. But I think I'm sensing the ones that they're fearful, they don't believe, they're fearful. You know, I don't want to be a macrobiotic vegetarian marathon runner. No, that's not what we're looking for. I don't want you to be afraid to walk. I don't want you to limit. You've now worked hard and you're retiring. I want you to be able to walk and do what you want to do. For most people, gardening, walking, they're happy.
Right.
But you got to be able to maintain that.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, and you hit on this, right? We want to make sure that when you're listening to this, that it's okay. Like, I understand when people say this is overwhelming, this is a lot of information, but what you just said, it's exactly how I work with patients, right? It's just small steps, 1 to 2 things, right? Because that overwhelm can paralyze people. And that's okay. That's a normal response. We get that. So like, let's make it tiny steps that are doable for that person, so they feel comfortable, so they can feel success when they start making these changes. And then it's not so scary, right? It's not this like overwhelming overhaul of their life, right? It's just very basic stuff. And then that way, like, time will go by and you can look back 6 months and you're like, oh yeah, look at where I was and look
exactly
at now. Yeah. And like, that feels so good. Like, I feel like that in my own life. I go, oh, look at where you were, 6 months ago. And it feels very empowering. And that's where we want people to be, right? Yes. You feel empowered, you're working on your health, and it's nothing but good stuff all the way around. So, I love it. Yeah.
Great. It can be very simple and very easy, and it doesn't need to be overwhelming.
Right.
Teaching someone how to breathe, and have them breathe 1 minute, 2 or 3 times a day. That's just, now we have oxygen in our system. It's just a very simple start.
Yeah.
Okay? Exactly. Yeah. So.
Well, Dr. Barney, thank you a million for being here and having this.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Really great conversation. I just love this. And I want to come visit you. I want to get in about
Good. We'd love to see you. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it sounds terrific. I don't have a lot of pain, so I'm glad. And I would like to keep it that way. I want
to. Good. We can do that. It's way easier to treat somebody when they're not in pain.
Yeah.
We don't have to take the time to get them out of pain. We just figure out what's going on, give them a couple tools, and send them on their way.
That sounds great.
That's the goal.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome.
And everyone, thank you for listening to the Nourish MD podcast, and we will see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you.
Now. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Nourish MD, Doctor Dietitian Dialogues. This podcast is intended for general educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult with your healthcare provider before beginning any nutrition or supplement recommendations. Sign up for our mailing list so you'll never miss an episode of our wellness journey. See the podcast description for the link.